Poll Harris rising as she challenges Trump on change. A national Times Siena poll found Kamala Harris with a slim lead over Donald J. Trump. Voters were more likely to see her, not Mr. Trump, as a break from the status quo. Voters are now more likely to credit Vice President Kamala Harris than Donald J. Trump with representing change and caring about people like them, as Ms. Harris takes a slim lead nationally in the race for the White House, according to the latest New York Times Siena College poll. The finding is the first time Ms. Harris has led Mr. Trump in the Times Siena poll since July, when President Biden dropped out of the race and Democrats rallied behind Ms. Harris as his replacement. It comes as the contest moves into its final month, and surveys from the battleground states find the race to be one of the closest in modern history. While the Times Siena poll shows some solid advantages for Mr. Trump, the results suggest Ms. Harris is making gains, if small ones, on questions about temperament, trust, and change that can be critical in a presidential race. The poll, conducted from September 29 to October 6 among 3,385 likely voters, found that Ms. Harris led Mr. Trump, the Republican, by 49% to 46%, a slight lead that is within the poll's margin of error. Times Siena polls also found Trump leading in Texas and up by a wide margin in Florida. The Florida poll helps clarify what's happening in the race, Nate Cohn writes. Mr. Trump and Ms. Harris were even at 47% each in a mid-September Times Siena poll after the two candidates met in their first and probably only presidential debate. Ms. Harris has since shored up her support among older voters and has begun making inroads among Republicans. 9% said they plan to support her, up slightly from 5% last month. She also appears to have closed the gap on the question of change, a critical factor in an election where voters have repeatedly told pollsters they believe the nation is heading in the wrong direction. Mr. Trump, 78, who was voted out of the White House in 2020, has presented himself as an agent of change and has regularly tried to saddle Ms. Harris with unpopular parts of Mr. Biden's record. But the Times Siena poll found voters said Ms. Harris was the candidate representing change in this election, 46% to 44%. The finding was a first for Ms. Harris. In previous Times Siena polls, Mr. Trump has been identified as the candidate of change. Ms. Harris, who is 59, was seen by a wide margin, 61% to 29%, as the change candidate among voters who are not white. Younger voters see her as the change candidate by a lopsided margin, 58% to 34%. The age difference between the two candidates makes a huge difference on change, said Derry Knox, 58, a Democrat in Memphis who said he intended to vote for Ms. Harris. They see the world differently. They look at the world differently, and they have different views about the world.